Southeast Asia Tsunami Relief, being prepared for a natural disaster. What is a tsunami? A tsunami is a catastrophic ocean wave usually caused by a submarine earthquake, underwater or coastal landslide, or volcanic eruption also may cause tsunamis. Tsunami is a Japanese word and can be translated to mean harbor wave. As you can see in the picture, the waves that are part of a tsunami oftentimes are very high. Tsunamis tend to displace large amounts of water, causing the large waves. There are a series of waves. They're also known as a wave train. The first wave oftentimes is not the most destructive, and waves will continue for a large amount of time. Tsunami waves can be very long and up to an hour apart and can cross an entire ocean without losing any magnitude. Tsunamis are said to have as much energy as a commercial jet. What causes a tsunami? A tsunami is caused by a powerful earthquake, landslide, or volcanic eruption that happens on the ocean floor. The original waves that are given off from the earthquake are deep underwater and usually only reach about a foot high. As the quake continues, the waves increase in height and the closer to shore they waves increase in height the closer to shore they reach. Where do tsunamis occur? Tsunamis are most commonly found in Southeast Asia, typically in the Pacific Ocean, but can occur in the Indian Ocean. 4 out of every 5 tsunamis occur in a region called the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is an area that rings around the Pacific Ocean and has the most active plate boundaries in the world. As you can see in the map to the right, the Ring of Fire stretches from the west coast of the United States all the way over to the far east of Australia and Southeast Asia, into the Indonesia area, and all those major plates in between there are usually the plates that erupt that cause the tsunami. How rare are tsunamis? Tsunamis are the most unlikely natural disaster to occur. The effects of a tsunami occur immediately within hours of the earthquake taking place. Only 5 to 6 tsunamis occur every century. These tsunamis cannot happen without an earthquake registering over 6.5 on the Richter scale. They have to measure so high in order for the waves to gain the momentum that they need to cause a tsunami to hit land. The spot where the earthquake takes place is the least affected spot of the tsunami. Major tsunamis. There have been 5 major tsunamis recorded in history to date. The Krakatoa tsunami, which took place in 1883 in India, 36,000 people died, and the waves were 130 feet tall, wiping out 2/3 of the island. The Japan tsunami, which took place in 1498, killed 31,000 people. The waves were 56 feet in height, and it was an 8.6 magnitude earthquake that caused the tsunami to take place. The Lisbon tsunami, which happened in Portugal in 1755, killed 60,000 people and was a magnitude 9 earthquake. The Mezzanilla tsunami, which took place in 1908, in Italy, killed 75,000 people. That was the last major tsunami before the tsunami that took place in 2004. This is the 5th major tsunami, the Indian Ocean tsunami, which took place December 26, 2004, killing over 300,000 people. The waves were 80 feet in height and were a 9.3 magnitude earthquake in the middle of the Pacific, right by Indonesia, which caused the tsunami to occur. The earthquake that triggered the Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004 released the energy of over 23,000 atomic bombs, had a 9.0 magnitude earthquake, and the quake happened under the Indian Ocean near the Indonesian island of Sumatra. This event occurred because of the sliding of the Burma plate. The plate had been causing a lot of friction and eventually was going to bust. The rupture of the Burma plate was over 600 miles long. This plate disrupted the seafloor, also rupturing for about 10 yards horizontally and several yards vertically. This is the largest magnitude earthquake to occur in the last 40 years. Earthquake to tsunami. The earthquake caused an immediate effect, causing waves to crash into 11 Indian Ocean countries. It traveled over 3,000 miles from its original site all the way to Africa, still having enough force to destroy whole towns, ocean fronts, and kill hundreds of people. Waves moved over hundreds of miles per hour and sounded like a freight train when hitting land. Helpful key factors. Islands that were surrounded by large amounts of reefs, bays, river entrances, and undersea formations benefited from the barrier to help slow down the power of the tsunami. Education. Looking for and knowing the warning signs of a tsunami is the most beneficial thing for saving lives. A whole village was saved because a village leader knew the signs of a tsunami and was able to get his tribe to higher ground. What are the most common warning signs? The first one is the earthquake that occurs. The receding ocean, noticeable rise or fall of the water level, fleeing of animals, sudden flooding of rivers and streams, the wave train, and the loud jet engine sound are the most common warning signs that a tsunami is going to occur or is taking place. Typically, the water will recede into itself to cause the waves to get larger. So when the water starts to move back, that's typically a sign that a tsunami is coming. In the tsunami that took place in 2004, when the water receded back, so many people wanted to go see it because so much ocean floor was exposed that they actually ran out there and ended up losing their lives because they wanted to take a picture and didn't realize that that was an actual warning sign for a tsunami. Knowing the signs. Knowledge of tsunamis and their warning signs is key for surviving a tsunami. Many people gravitated toward the ocean instead of going away from the ocean. It is important for communities to have time to prepare and plans in place. Timely warnings and effective response is the key to survival. Waves continue and can be up to an hour apart. It is hard to say when a tsunami has truly ended. The waves of a tsunami can be anywhere from 5 minutes apart to an hour apart, and oftentimes people think that they've ended, so they start gravitating back towards the ocean to see what has happened and to check on people, and then another wave comes, thus killing more people in its path. As you can see, it was absolute devastation in 2004 when the tsunami took place. The entire towns were completely wiped out, and hundreds of lives were lost, and people were left rummaging through things to find their loved ones as well as their belongings. Here's another picture of the devastation. When the water receded in the ocean, any boats that were out in the water actually ended up coming onto land and pretty much beached themselves because of the water receding. With this happening, all of the harbors and any marinas were all completely destroyed, and the boats were shattered to pieces. Because of the waves taking out cars and houses and people and anything along the ocean line, much of the devastation occurred from the waves coming in and knocking everything out. In the first hours of the tsunami, over 150,000 people were believed to be dead. Many were washed out to sea and will never be found. Homes were destroyed, bodies were hanging in trees, washed up on the beaches, and left to rot in the tropic sun. The risk of an epidemic disease was high, clean water and food were impossible to find, and most people couldn't believe a natural disaster to this degree could take place. People were left injured and homeless looking for loved ones. The tsunami did not discriminate. People that were together in groups were separated within seconds, with some dying, some injured, and some living. The greatest risk was the epidemic disease. Because of how hot the weather gets over there, they were worried that without any proper care and supplies to care for everyone, they were going to start and everyone being exposed, and the germs and the number of bodies that were piling up from the people being found. They were afraid that the disease was going to come and set in and start wiping out entire communities on top of what already happened. As you can see in this picture, it is a little graphic, but it shows you, it doesn't even begin to show you how many people lost their lives that day and how they didn't know who any of the people belonged to, so the only thing they could possibly do is just pile them up and try to get rid of them as quickly as possible. Like I said before, the risk of epidemic disease was high, cleaning water and food were impossible to find, and most people couldn't believe this disaster took place. Preparing for the future. Education. Educating those in the areas that are prone to tsunamis and natural disasters need to be educated on warning signs of possible disasters. Sailors are advised not to try to return to the shore if an earthquake happens while they are out at sea. Oftentimes, they actually advise people to, if they can, get in their boat and go out to sea when the tsunami, if they know that a tsunami might occur, because the wave gets its largest whenever it makes landfall. Tsunami relief. The NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, is leading the world in tsunami observation. The Tsunami Warning System, also known as the TWS, monitors the ocean floor of the Pacific for tsunami activity. 2 operating headquarters are located in Hawaii and Alaska. The system issues watches, warnings, and information to emergency officials. The more communication methods present, the better chance we have of informing areas at risk for the tsunami when activity occurs. The increase of area coverage by the NOAA has increased. They have placed over 39 buoys around the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean to better monitor activity. To the right is a diagram of how the buoys work. The buoys set down large anchors to the bottom of the ocean floor, and anytime they start to sense activity, all of the information goes back up to the top of the buoy and then is relayed to one of the headquarters in either Hawaii or Alaska to be monitored, and they monitor how much movement there is, what kind of movement it is, if they need to send out warnings to other places, and any kind of data that they can get from the water and the ocean floor to see what might be happening. In order to better educate people affected by tsunamis, programs such as HEAT, the Hazard Education and Awareness Tool, are being put into place in states such as Hawaii. This program uses tools such as websites, Google Maps, and data to alert and inform citizens of potential risky weather and activities that may lead to a tsunami. The best way to make sure that you are as prepared as you can be for a tsunami is to make a plan. If you live in an area that is prone to a natural disaster, especially a tsunami, it is important to have a plan in place. Develop a plan with your family, a meeting spot where to go next, and who and how to help. Plan an evacuation route. Safest places during a tsunami are 100 feet above sea level and 2 miles inland. If you cannot reach a safe spot, get to the highest point possible in the time that you have. If you are traveling to a tsunami-prone area, it is important to check with the hotel staff for safety and evacuation plans. If you are ever going to travel anywhere overseas, even Hawaii or any kind of island in Southeast Asia, it is important to make sure that you know what the plans are in case a tsunami does occur. The American Red Cross teamed with the Indonesian Red Cross to develop plans and train members of the community on how to help in a time of need. The mission of the program is to ensure communities that are affected can safely and accurately check infrastructures, do general maintenance, and provide hygiene education. Gather access to clean drinking water and supplies. The goal of the project is to teach communities how to make decisions, communicate with the residents, and provide a safe environment. The project will allow over 5,000 first responders to be trained to benefit over 45,000 residents. These programs have since lost some of their funding, but the American Red Cross is still working with the Indonesian Red Cross to make sure that these programs stay alert. Since the population in these areas is growing a large amount, the tourism is very popular and it is important for these communities to have plans in place. With the population growth, it is important to strengthen the urban communities by improving the waste management, river system, drainage system, plantation, and food and water safety. The American Red Cross, along with many other organizations, are trying to help the Indonesian Red Cross as well as the citizens of Southeastern Asia better be prepared for natural disasters. While they do not happen often, they are extreme and dangerous in these areas, and due to the lack of education and knowledge, many people lost their lives on December 26, 2004. As we approach the 10th anniversary of this disaster, it is important that we do what we can to help the people of Southeastern Asia. There is a man by the name of Chris Robinson in Palo Alto, California, and he is creating a capsule that he is hoping will be tsunami proof. He actually lived over in Indonesia for quite a while and met his wife over there. And when the tsunami came through, him and his wife were both pretty devastated about all the places that were wiped out. So he made it his goal to build something that will help everybody live through a tsunami. He started building the prototype back in 2005, I think it said, pretty soon after the tsunami took place. And he's building it all out of epoxy and plywood so that it's completely waterproof and rust-proof. And he's hoping to have it done sometime this year. And when he does have it done, I think they're going to try to test it out. They didn't really specify how they're going to try to test it out, but they're going to try to. And he is building this in his backyard, and they use it to camp in on the weekends for fun right now while he's finishing up the project. As you can see, it's pretty intense. It's very detail-oriented. That's why it's taken them so long. Every single inch of this piece has been thought about and calculated and made directly just to be used in case of a tsunami. And this is the works cited page.